Carson.
Hey, Frank.
Guess what?
What?
We are running a campaign on Patreon.
We
Did
are.
You know that?
Yeah, it's something that I'm aware of. It's something that I hope our listeners are aware of. But just before we start the show, we just wanted to jump in real quick and say, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you helped us produce this show?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if you became part of the show in a financial way?
Yeah.
We're not going to promise you that any of the money that you donate to us will be visited back to you tenfold.
Oh.
That the Lord will bless you for your donation. Because that's
I wish we could.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it does help us produce the show. So if you would like to be part of helping us, we'd sure appreciate it. The place to go is patreon.com/TGIAtheist, or just go to thankgodimatheist.com, and there's a little button you could just click. Just get in there, and you decide how much you love us.
Yeah.
And then you show us monetarily. All right. Well, let's start this show.
Everybody.
Hi, guys. Well, from Salt Lake City, Utah,
It's Thank God I'm Atheist.
the podcast.
I'm Frank.
And I am Dan.
Wow.
Yeah, I did a little pause for drama.
Okay.
A little dramatic pause.
Well, good.
Yeah.
And coming up today on the show, we're going to be talking
Fashion.
fashion.
It's fall fashion.
Definitely attire. I don't know about fashion, Dan.
Yeah, it's fashion to some. We're going to be talking about religious clothes.
Yeah. Which let me tell you, when you do Google searches for weird religious clothing,
You know you're doing it wrong.
no matter what variation of that you do, the temple garments are just at the top of the list.
Sure. Mormon underwear is fascinating to all until you see it, and then you're like, oh,
Ew, it's really
ew,
kind of just plain and gross and just
looks like a turn of the century swimming costume.
yeah, basically,
Sort of.
Yeah. They haven't had to update it, considering it's under all the clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of just. I mean, they have updated it.
They have.
But it's not.
Anyway, we'll talk about all that later on.
Yeah,
I don't know if we'll get to the Mormon. Yeah, we'll probably get to those.
I hope not.
Hey, why don't you start us off with a little, tell us a story there.
Okay. Well, in the news this week, Ben Carlson.
I thought you were going to say Benghazi. I was like, oh, God, really? We're going to go to that?
No, Ben Carson.
Okay. Presidential hopeful.
Yes.
Surgeon.
Mm-hmm. And rabid anti-abortionist.
Well, one would think so.
Yeah, but rabid.
Yeah?
He wants no exemption for rape and incest.
Well, he's never had an abortion.
Yeah.
So why should it be so hard for other people not to have one?
Yeah. Well, he says that all you have to do is go and look up the many stories of people who have had very useful lives who were the result of rape or incest.
And that's how you know that you should have to that a woman should have to go through that.
Oh, absolutely. Now he says that in rare cases involving the mother's health, there might be some exception that could be made.
Oh, wow. He's so generous.
If people can come up with a reasonable explanation of why they would like to kill a baby. Those are his words.
Yes, of course. Yes. That's exactly how you word that. Yes.
He would love to see the Supreme Court's Roe v. Wade decision, which, of course, legalized abortion.
Right. He wants that overturned.
He wants it overturned. Like to see it go away. No more.
Can you imagine if that guy actually became president?
Oh, it's terrifying.
I mean, it's impossible, but it's just a weird thought.
Yeah. No.
It's just like, yeah. Anyway. It's nothing new. We've heard that line of thinking before, but not. I mean, a presidential candidate getting that radically right wing about it. It's. I mean, well, we'll hear more about him from him.
But here's
later.
the deal.
Okay.
Here's the deal. Have you heard this line of thinking? Mothers should not have the right to terminate an unwanted pregnancy, Carson said. This was all on Meet the Press.
Okay.
By the way. Just as slave owners did not have the right to do whatever they wanted to their slaves. Had abolitionists allowed that, he said, where would we be?
What?
So the baby's the slave, the fetus is the slave, and the mother's the slave owner in this little foot in mouth horrifying comment.
Ben Carson, I know that you're listening because obviously we're the show that you listen to on the reg.
Yeah.
The fuck are you talking about? Like I am literally racking my brain. I'm a reasonably intelligent human being. I am trying to. Okay. I'm going to pause for a moment while I flip Frank off, and then we'll go on. The point is, I am literally trying to figure out what the fuck his metaphor means, and I'm not getting it.
No.
Like, what are you talking about? Was that just like a way for him to like try it? Was that a play to make himself more accessible to white voters?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
What is he doing?
I don't know.
That's crazy talk.
But the mother apparently is the slave owner.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And
with her slave baby.
But you can't just.
There are rules. There were even rules then.
So can she like whip her womb to punish the?
But here's the deal. I thought slave owners did have the right to do whatever they wanted to.
They kind of did.
Yeah.
This
is kind of where it falls apart a little.
They beat and murdered their slaves with impunity.
Raped.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Their property.
Yeah.
Ben Carson's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy
proof positive.
That's a nutball thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
God, that man.
Yeah.
We're going to hear more from him later
I did
on.
kind of bury the lead on that one, so I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We got
to
like
it
was
eventually.
Something we could build to.
All right. I don't know why. I wanted to do something to do with the recent Parliament of World Religions that occurred here in Salt Lake City this year.
Yeah.
We missed it. I was out of town.
Yeah.
So I was, and you had family in town. We weren't able to attend. No. It was my original intention to attend this thing. Mm-hmm. This is not the same as the World
Conference
of Families, which also was here.
No,
or
coming.
is coming.
That's this week.
Jesus Christ! Why is I mean, this is like the third. That'll be the third major religious convention in Salt Lake City, not including the Mormons.
Yeah.
This year.
Mm-hmm. Wait, who was the first one?
The Episcopals.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Why are they coming here?
We are a religious destination.
We're like Mecca for religions.
Mm.
That's a joke because Mecca is for a religion.
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently, so this is not the hateful one. This is the just sort of bland, boring one.
They're kind of touchy-feely. They like the environment.
Yes.
They like
the keynote
addressing poverty issues.
The keynote was supposed to be the Dalai Lama, but he backed out.
It was too controversial, the whole thing.
Salt Lake City just doesn't. It's the altitude. Those Nepalis can't deal with altitude.
They hate it. They get the nosebleeds.
Anyway, so this happened. So this conference happened here, and I wanted to just touch on a thing that happened at this conference.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure how to feel about it. There was a women's silent walk for peace.
Okay. What does that mean?
A whole bunch of women of all of the faiths gathered together and walked through, I guess the Salt Palace, I guess is probably where it was.
Walked around it?
The convention center.
Okay.
In silence.
Well, you don't want to hear them when they get talking. So it's just gab, gab, gab.
Here's the thing. There are all these tweets that are like, this was deeply moving to watch and blah, blah, blah. And I just think, great.
Mm-hmm.
And I support women,
mm-hmm.
and how much peace do they think they're achieving?
Well, there was some peace and quiet.
There was some of that. Women's silent walk for peace in our...
peaceful.
Let there be peace in our, if not in our time, in our ears.
In these hallowed halls of the Salt Lake City Convention Center.
So I guess part of what I wanted to bring up was like demonstrations like this are common.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I don't get them. It feels
like specifically a silent walk for peace,
or anything that's like we are doing an event to get. I mean, you get a little bit of publicity for your thing, so maybe that's a thing.
We're talking about it.
I just don't. It's just for peace. That's just, I mean, they're getting publicity for the concept of peace.
Yeah, peace needs more attention. Doesn't it?
No, you got to get specific. You got to say, like, this is for peace in Syria, and we're marching to...
These folk are far too ecumenical to be tied down to anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that was the thing that I was picking up on, just sort of little tidbits that I heard. It's just all these different religious groups getting together, and the only way for them not to for the whole thing to not end up in a bloodbath is for them to not really talk about anything at all in any kind of specifics.
Right.
So it's actually fitting that they wouldn't talk
so true.
During their little march for peace.
Right. If we talk, we're only going to fight.
We're going to figure out where we disagree.
So let's lock arms and walk together, and everybody shut the fuck up, because if we say anything, it's going to end up in a fight.
I mean, to be honest, because I did look up their website, I remember, and I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, they are all about the environment, and they are about, people getting along. I'm all for those things.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
me too.
Atheists should have a place at the table.
Yeah, we should have been there.
The Parliament of World Religions and None.
Right. The Parliament of World people who care about these things.
Yeah, why not? Why does it have to be people of faith? But I think it's great that people of faith are doing it. Why not?
Yeah.
They're not causing problems.
No.
No, let me tell you,
they're walking around
there were
in
people
silence.
walking around the streets of Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
In all sorts of religious garb.
Oh.
Stuff I had no clue what it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll figure that out at the end of the show.
Old white people in white flowing robes.
Oh.
And I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
Those are ghosts.
But very hippie looking.
Yeah.
Ghosts at the same time. I didn't know what that one was. But
there you go.
Anywho. All right. Well, sticking with we'll stick with a local connection. How about
sure,
that?
Great.
You, Dan, know who M. Russell Ballard is.
Yeah. Em and I go way back.
Yeah, he's an LDS apostle. And there's a little snippet of a speech that he gave back in February of 2014. Down in Buenos Aires.
Oh,
in Argentina.
Oh,
right.
That's not Canada.
No.
Okay.
It was a young adult something or other, and he's up there. He's talking, and it's South America, so he had probably Catholicism on his mind.
Sure. They do like the Catholics down in the southern part of the Americas.
Yeah. So he says, and I'm just going to read this little pull quote.
Okay.
That this article has, and it says, most people don't know where they came from. They don't know why they're here, and they don't know where they're going. Right. That's the plan of salvation.
That's the big Mormon thing.
Yeah. And Mormons know. They know where they came from, they know why they're here, and they know where they're going.
Right.
And if they have a Catholic background, they don't know who God is. They don't know who the Savior is. Nor do they know who the Holy Ghost is.
Oh, my God.
And we know who they are because Joseph knelt in the presence of the Father and the Son, and our Father introduced the Savior to him in these words, Joseph, this is my beloved son, hear him. a boy who then was nurtured and trained by the Savior of the world to restore the fullness of the everlasting gospel of Jesus Christ to the earth.
Wow.
I guess he went on to present Joseph Smith's sort of his credentials.
Those fine bona fides that
because
Joseph Smith has.
I mean that's the whole thing is that Mormons claim that the Catholics lost their way and lost, of course, ecclesiastical authority.
Right. The Mormons claim that everybody lost their way.
Right. But in Christianity, the big one,
right,
the one that has like the claims to make about being connected all the way back, right?
Yeah.
Because of Peter, right? St. Peter, he held the keys, went to Rome, established the Roman Church.
Yeah.
Anywho, Joseph, he was ordained by Peter, James, and John, who sort of restored the whole, the authority, God's authority to the earth.
Yeah. Okay. So for those of you who aren't formerly LDS or currently LDS, this is meant to have literally happened.
Oh, yeah.
Like these people, like the ancient prophets from Jesus' time and Jesus' dad, all at various times came and visited Joseph Smith.
Yeah, yeah.
They kind
It's like the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because Moses.
Right.
Right. He saw a burning bush.
He saw a bush.
Right. He didn't see, God didn't come down and talk to him.
No.
And God's little representatives, right, didn't come down and touch him and give him this and give him that. This is all crazy town shit.
Yeah.
What Joseph Smith is claimed to have experienced.
So this, so this is where the Mormons get their idea that somehow they have the real truth and everybody else is they're just guessing and they've got a bunch of bullshit. But for him to go after, I will give him this. M has punching up down pat. You know the whole concept of punching up versus punching down?
Yeah.
He's doing punching up right.
Yeah.
Because
go after the bigger guys.
Yeah. See if you can get any of them to notice you, M.
Yeah.
They won't.
Right.
But try.
Well, and this is great stuff because the Mormons have been doing this whole trying to be nice thing, and they've been trying to build bridges and just kind of be mainstream Christians in this country. And then and this kind of just pulls the curtain back and lets you see that no, they don't really believe any of that play nice stuff. They know that all the others are bunk. This is old school talk from Mormons.
Yeah.
The really dark stuff.
It's the good stuff.
Catholicism is the great whore, right? Or the whore of the earth, or what's the line about?
Whore of Babylon.
Whore of Babylon. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what they believe.
Yeah.
So he's barely even scratching the surface of what they actually think about the Catholics. And, at least historically.
Yeah.
So
there you go. That's really funny.
Yeah. Big foot and mouth.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do to fix that one.
Well, there you go. Okay, I'm going to avoid the cheap transitional segue right now because I'm transitioning into something very upsetting, as a matter of fact.
Oh, why do you do this?
Because I don't know. It's just the thing. I try not to, but then some of these things, man. Hey, it's not me. It's them. I'm going to take you to the World of Life Christian Church in New Hartford, New York.
That sounds nice. World of Life?
World of Life.
Ah, that's lovely.
It's it's based on James Cameron's film Avatar. That world was really full of life.
Oh, Jesus. That was a little bit of a stretch there.
Did you see how much life was on that world?
There was a lot of life.
Anyway.
And it was in 3D, too.
It was.
And it sparkled.
Big, tall, blue people running around. Anyway, this is a lot less heartening than that. World of Life Christian Church is... it's... Apparently they have some tough beliefs.
Oh, yeah?
So what? Here's what happened. After a what do you call it? A service on a Sunday.
Okay.
A bunch of the small congregation stuck around.
How small?
I don't have that.
10 people? 50 people? 200 people?
Oh, I had it somewhere.
I'm sorry. I always ask these questions. I'm sorry.
The church, which began in 1984, has about 5 families, or about 35 members.
Oh, boy. Okay.
So they all stuck around, and they were going to get young members, Lucas Leonard, and who was 19, and his 17-year-old brother Christopher. Those boys they weren't acting right. So everybody was gonna band together and help them act right and get them to confess their sins to God.
Oh, okay.
They did this by beating them so viciously that one of them died.
Did he confess first?
That doesn't seem to have been covered in the article.
Sorry,
you're a horrible person, though.
No, that's terrible, Dan.
Yeah, they were.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, listeners. That was the wrong way to go. I feel bad. I need to confess my sins now.
Yeah, you do. I'm going to beat you now. Here's the thing. The parents were involved.
I need to know some more. Like why were they beating him in the first place? It's like some sort of just corporal punishment.
This was called a quote counseling session.
Yeah, okay.
That's really good counseling. I'm pretty sure that the American psychiatric community would condone all of this. They were continually subjected to physical punishment over the course of several hours.
Oh my!
Apparently, in the hopes that each would confess to prior sins and ask for forgiveness.
What? Like, okay, and do we have any sense of like what they were up to or what they thought they had been up to that could possibly have warranted any kind of like reaction?
No.
Of any kind.
I have no idea.
People.
I have no idea, but there's
not that it would justify it, but just to kind of get where their heads were, because this doesn't make any sense.
I'm pretty sure one of them was drinking the wrong kind of tea. They were, they were on the streets.
They're big on the tea.
Yeah. The attorney for the father, Bruce Leonard, has entered a not guilty plea on behalf of his client.
Freedom of religion?
No. He said, quote, "In the state of New York, he is charged with manslaughter in the first degree, which requires intent to cause serious bodily injury. And I do not believe there was any intent."
They were beating him.
Not with the intent to cause bodily injury.
Spiritual injury?
No, spiritual freeing. Anyway, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And there are along with the 2 parents, 4 other church members are apparently being held.
Good.
In connection to
they
this.
Should all be held.
Anyone
in the room should be held.
Yeah. Or maybe they just were never held enough. And that's the problem.
Their mothers didn't love them.
Yeah,
That's the problem here. Ugh. All right. Well, moving on.
Yeah.
Can I move on?
Please move on.
Okay.
Get me out of here.
Just tragic story, Dan. All right. Dan.
Yes?
This is something you're mildly familiar with.
Yeah.
Psilocybin.
What are you talking about,
Magic
Franklin?
mushrooms. The hallucinogenic, the psychedelic magic mushrooms.
Technically, the only kind of mushrooms that I enjoy. If I'm going to be honest about it.
But you probably still don't even enjoy the ingesting of them.
No, although
they're not that enjoyable to ingest.
Although it's funny because everybody who likes mushrooms hates the taste of that kind of mushrooms. I actually find them like it's like woody. They're just wood. They taste like wood.
Okay.
Which is fine for me.
Fine.
Anyway.
They have an interesting taste to them.
Yeah.
I'm not admitting anything.
No.
Here.
No, neither of us are admitting to having ingested magic mushrooms.
That they have a funky taste.
Right. Nor are we admitting to having done it together.
No.
That would never be something we would admit to
No.
on the national airwaves.
No, and taking walks and no,
wandering through your house, planting our faces.
Who
into
had the
pillows.
clown face? Was
What?
it you that had the clown face, or did Andrea have the clown face?
I don't think anybody had a clown.
Yeah, I think you looked at Andrea, saw her frizzy hair, and thought she was a clown.
I don't.
But that's beside the point.
That's beside the point. But by the way, we don't recommend that you do this. But if you ever do this, find the movie Koyaanisqatsi. That'll fuck you up for a little bit, and in a very pleasant way. Anyway, sorry, is there a story connected to this?
Nope, that's it. I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay.
Remember that time?
Yeah.
No. So there's some research going into the effects of psychedelic drugs on sort of their spiritual effects, right?
Mm-hmm.
That way that word gets thrown around, spiritual,
Right.
and mystical,
Yes.
like experiences. Because you have this like really overwhelming sense of a connection to things, right?
A lot of people have that experience. As a matter of fact, and this is not going to be. I'm not going to trump your story here because I know that I'm going to refer to some studies that were done like in the 60s, back before there was a ban on the studying.
I hope you don't touch my story too closely.
All right, why don't you go? Why don't you go?
You go. Tell us your little story, Dan.
Well, I just know that there were studies that were done where like you could, using psilocybin, you could force people to have to feel like they had a spiritual God experience.
Yeah. Yes.
So I know that happened.
Yes.
So go on with what you're saying.
Okay. So they are they want to bring in members of the clergy.
Okay.
Because and people who might have a history of meditation, like Buddhist meditation.
Okay. Sure.
Because these are people who they feel are in tune with their sense of what it means to be spiritual and to have a mystical connection.
Okay.
Right?
It's a topic of much thinking and
if you meditate, it's something that you probably are experiencing on some level. There's,
right.
And so what they want to do is they want to bring these people in and have them describe the experience, because they spend so much time in sort of a kind of this spiritual state. They have a broader sense, a broader set of words and language surrounding spirituality that they're very in tune with. They might have they might have a deeper sense of those places that you can go, so that they can
more
talk
specific
about,
understanding of what it is that they're supposed
so
to.
they can talk about their experiences in a more nuanced way,
right,
with regard to their experience on a psychedelic.
So
isn't this fascinating?
So they
right?
want to bring priests in and say, "Hey, talk about this. Now talk about what your experience was when we made you eat these mushrooms."
Basically.
Wow.
Isn't that fascinating?
Because I know that they just barely re-legalized, like within the past few years, they
do clinical studies.
Yeah.
And so this is all very, very interesting stuff. They also, part of the study is they want to make sure they're really vetting these ministers, right?
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure that these are people who are going to remain active clergy, because they want to know about the long-term effects. Because the referring to these studies back in the 60s,
yeah,
this is fascinating. Let's see, the participants in these studies, after 14 months after their psychedelic sessions, well over half of the volunteers said that the trip was among the five most personally meaningful, at 58% experiences of their lives.
Wow.
And spiritually significant, 67% said that it was one of the five most spiritually significant experiences of their life.
And to be clear, like those experiments, what they would do is like create a quote unquote spiritual environment. They would play spiritual music. They would they tried to create a churchy sort of feel. Into the thing.
To be honest, this doesn't talk about the setting or how it was. It just says that these people they went through this, and they talked to one of the people who actually went through those experiments back 50 years ago,
right? And
he says that he was able to where was it? What the psilocybin did for me was reframe what I thought mystical experience was all about. I expected it to involve the basic symbols and language of religion, but it had more to do with the garbage that was going on inside of me at the time. It reframed my values and my perceptions, right?
Wow.
It also helped him inspire him to work with young people who had drug problems, and then later work in social justice and interfaith ministries, right? Like what's amazing about mushrooms and the little trips and whatnot that you can have on them, and I don't want to sound like I'm pushing it on anyone, but they are really, really intense, deep, emotional, dare I say, spiritual experiences. And
is that how you felt?
Yeah, I never felt any connection to anything supernatural, but just this warmth and this happiness and to be in my space, because I've done them a couple times just at home, right? Everybody likes to get out into nature. I've done them at home, or I've done them and going on nature walks or whatever. But at home, I ended up having these really sort of satisfying experiences where it was really about kind of connecting to my life and connecting to my space and just kind of where I am in life and thinking about the future and what do I really want and blah, 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 blah. And I always found that for 6 months after one of these experiences, that I just had a very different outlook and very different mindset about things.
Interesting.
Because it's not like this is something that I go around. I mean, it's been years, at this point since I've last done mushrooms. But anyway, not that I've actually done them. I'm not admitting to anything here.
I'm just going to go ahead and admit to having done mushrooms, as well as some other things. It is interesting. People who believe in, here's the thing. People who believe in big spiritual things, God things, or some sort of mystical energy or some other annoying thought like that, if they get into the psychedelics, oh God, you're never going to shut them up.
Well, what I love though is that most religious folk don't have a clue about what the mind can do when you release a bunch of, serotonin or not dopamine,
various brain chemicals and whatever. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think that there's genuine value to get out of a lot of these drugs. They're studying psilocybin as a possible aid for depression.
Oh yeah.
And it seems to be very effective for many people in that respect. And I have friends who go do ayahuasca ceremonies.
Oh wow,
that's a totally different drug. That's actually technically DMT, which you can
know about that.
Well, I've done DMT.
We've heard all about that.
I've done DMT, but I've never done ayahuasca. I have friends, multiple friends from different friends who have said that it's I have one friend who swears one ayahuasca ceremony was 20 years of therapy for him.
I believe it.
It just it rewired his brain in a way that was super helpful. He processed things. It's just he tore through things that he needed to process. Wow.
And what would Nancy Reagan say?
She would say that any drug that makes you vomit many, many times is probably not a good thing. But she's wrong.
Yeah.
Apparently. Anyway, that's all very fascinating.
I just thought that it was a very, very just fascinating to Yeah, to connect, to
here's-
try to involve the clergy in it.
Yeah.
That's what really, I think, is like the genius touch. I can't wait to hear what comes of this.
I want to hear more about that too. But here's what's weird to me. People who are believers, who have a quote-unquote religious experience with a psychotropic drug,
Right.
don't look back at that experience and go, well, now, wait a minute. If this can be chemically induced, is it possible that my other spiritual experiences are just a product of brain chemistry that's happening?
Well, and I would go one step further, which is why don't they look at it and go, this experience was so overwhelming and so powerful and so undeniable of an experience.
Right.
Why is my spiritual life nothing like this?
Right. Yeah, why is church not this?
Why doesn't God reach out and touch people in order to really truly change them?
Yeah.
You know, because like your friend who had 20 years of therapy in one session, why doesn't God just do that?
Yeah. Well, God's kind of a dick
God's so
that way.
powerful.
It's funny.
Right?
I went to a restaurant in North Carolina this week, and on the wall, it had this big... I should have taken a picture of it. It had this big poster that said, I asked God to make me more patient, and he said, no, that's for you to figure out. And I asked God for this. And God, like the whole thing, God just says no. No, no, no. You got you have to earn that. No, you have to you have to learn that by growing through it. No, you have to blah blah blah. And I was like, this God is a prick.
Yeah.
You are a magic man. You can do this.
Yeah.
Why not just give it to me? Why do you have to make it hard?
Because you have to grow, Dan.
So make me grow.
Have these experiences all on your own.
So give me the experience. So fucking just inject it. This is the Matrix. You're magic. You can just pop it in.
Dan, this is not how God works.
No, the Lord works in mysterious and awful ways.
Yeah, it's much easier for him to do nothing and to leave it all up to you.
Right. Right.
That's much easier.
It is.
He's kind of a lazy God.
Our God is a lazy God. Anyway, I'm going to move us along to Singapore.
Singapore.
Land of Singaporeans. I don't know hardly anything about Singapore. But
it's an island nation, right? it's a city-state of sorts.
Southeast Asia.
I don't know.
I think we got nothing.
I know you can't spit. You can't even chew gum. It's not even that you don't spit it on the sidewalk. It's if you litter, they like chop off your hands. And if you like spit gum on or if you even just have gum, you're like,
they're probably going to shoot you.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's Singapore.
Right. Absolutely. There's no need to correct us on that, folks. Don't look it up. We're just positively correct. Here's something that is true, though. A pastor of a megachurch, a Christian megachurch in Singapore. One Mr. Kong Hee. He heads the City Harvest Church, which is a big old megachurch. He does that whole prosperity gospel thing.
Love it.
Which tends to work out really well for the guy preaching it and less well for the people who are sending in their money.
If you would just replicate what he's doing, then you too could experience all of the prosperity.
Lord help me
that the gospel can bring.
Tempted. I am tempted.
Why not?
God, they make so much money. However, he's in trouble.
You could be the atheist convert. They would love it, Dan.
Oh, God, that story would play like a motherfucker.
You found Jesus in an acid trip.
And then every I make reference to that all the time. And it would just play like gangbusters. Anywho, Pastor Kong Hee is in trouble. For apparently him and 5 other church leaders were convicted of multi-million-dollar fraud on Wednesday. He was apparently funneling millions of dollars into the advancement of his wife's singing career.
Oh.
Pop star Ho Yao Sun.
Or Singapore's Mrs. Miller.
Right. Well, no, she's like
Is she actually good?
She's like Miss Hottie. She like...
Oh.
I watched one of the... I did look up the video of her hit single, China Wine. Apparently she sings in Chinese. Apparently she's probably Chinese. She sings in Mandarin. But this one's in English. It's a collaboration with rapper Wyclef Jean. And boy, I watched this video. Doesn't look like the wife of a Christian pastor to me.
No?
She's doing the whole, like, bra and hot pants, like, twerking her thing sort of deal. And I was just like, damn, that's not Christian the way I remember Christian.
Well, maybe you should go back, Dan. It's all about twerking now.
Suddenly I'm tempted. I mean, you know, we went to a rock and roll church. That didn't do it for me, but twerk church.
Twerk church.
That might be a thing.
Twerking churchin'.
Twerk church.
Welcome to
twerk church, ladies on the poles. Thank you for your kind service.
You just twerk.
You better twerk.
Twerk.
Yeah, and now we pray.
Twerk.
Now Frank has just evolved into saying words.
Yeah, no, that would be great, Dan.
I think it'd be good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, he's in trouble for that.
So
which is funny because that would never happen here in the States because nobody can ask them what they're doing with their money. Really,
isn't that funny? Yeah.
Of course you can fund your wife's twerking career. Go right ahead.
So she seriously must not have been any good.
I want to see Victoria Osteen's twerk video.
No, you don't.
Oh yeah. Oh, get up there, Osteen.
When Christians twerk.
Oh yeah, work that, twerk that. I love it.
I don't know about that, Dan. All right. Well, if you'd like to add anything to this conversation.
Yeah, you being the listener out there, not me. I already did.
Well,
but if the rest of you want to chime in,
what can they do, Dan?
You can go to, you can write to us. Mm-hmm. That's easy enough to do. Podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or you can leave us a voicemail. The telephone number is 424-666-8442.
Yeah, go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist.
Or also on Facebook, search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join.
Yeah.
It's a private group, closed group. So you have to join it. You have to be let in.
But nothing visible to the public says anything about atheism, so if you're worried about that, you're safe.
Golden. All right, cool. Well, we're going to take a quick break and
revisit our friend old Ben Carson.
Yeah, Ben Carson.
He's a
poop head.
He's a dumb man and a bad candidate, and that's where we're going to start.
All right.
And I bought an organ. I was going to learn how to play the organ and read all those books you never read and see all those movies and not have to set the alarm clock. But, sometimes the Lord has a plan that's different for us. And, after the prayer breakfast, a lot of people started clamoring for me to run for president, which I thought was kind of a ridiculous thing. And I said, that'll all die down, so just ignore it. But it never did, and it just kept building. And pretty soon I was getting a box every week with 5,000 petitions in it. Wow. Pretty soon I had a whole room full of these boxes. And people saying, you have to do this, you have to do that for us. And, the draft movement built, and I finally said, Lord, I don't particularly want to do this. This is not on my bucket list, but if you want me to do it, you open the doors and I'll walk through them. And if you close the doors, I'll sit down. And the doors began flying open, much to the consternation of all the professional class and all the pundits who said, it's impossible. You can't possibly put together a national organization as a political neophyte. You don't know any of the people. There's no money. You can't do it. It's impossible. Forget about it. And yet, you see, it's happening. And they don't understand the power of God.
The power of God.
They don't understand, Frank. They just don't get it. Well, here's the big takeaway for me.
Yeah?
He thought the idea of him running for president was a ridiculous idea. I think that's the big takeaway. that is one point about which he and I agree entirely.
Yeah. But the doors they just keep opening, Dan.
Yeah, he's walking through them doors.
Yeah.
This was on apparently on Marcus and Joni, which is a fantastic program on the Daystar Network, which I just looked up and is apparently a Christian network.
Yeah. See, and I just discovered, I didn't realize this, he's Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a whole thing
That's
going around.
Terrifying.
There's
Those people are batshit crazy. Are
you surprised?
Crazier than Mormon crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a very mean meme going around, and I actually don't approve of this meme.
Oh.
Comparing his wife to that of our current president, because they put two pictures together. One was President and Mrs. Obama decked out for some event. She's in like Vera Wang, and she's looking great. And then there's Ben Carson and his wife. She's a Seventh-day Adventist. They're not supposed to look fancy,
Right.
but they can look better than this. This was on the day that he announced, and I mean the meme is correct. She does not look good, but still,
mean. That's mean.
The wives are off limits. It's not about the wives,
Right.
There's no reason to do that.
Well,
she didn't choose
shouldn't
the
be
limelight.
Shouldn't be the issue.
Right.
Shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
That's who cares?
Yeah.
Really? At the end of the day.
I do object to a 62-year-old still going by Candy. I object to that.
Why?
It just doesn't. It just seems
It's better than still going by Sissy.
They're all wrong. All of them are wrong.
Okay, are you showing this? Is there this delay due to the fact that you're going to show me this picture? Oh,
it's just she just looks like a woman.
She looks like a nice woman.
She definitely.
They're making fun of that. She just looks like a sweet woman down the street.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nah. She's not fashionable. That's her big crime, apparently. But he's a cuckoo bird.
Yeah.
You can't vote for him.
Insanity.
And here's the thing, listeners. You don't have to agree with me politically. That's fine. You can be a Republican. I can be.
Yeah.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'll probably vote for a Democrat rather than a Republican.
Right.
But you can't vote for him. You can do a lot of things. You can vote, but you can't vote for him. That's just that. Anyway.
All right. Okay.
We had some folks write into us.
Okay, let's do
it. Should I read from?
Do it, Dan.
From those. Let me just pull this up here. Frank and Dan, I love your podcast and have been listening for over a year. I spent 5 years in emergency management in Houston, and one of the most respected books on emergency preparedness is the LDS Preparedness Manual.
No.
Since we live in an area that's prone to hurricanes, preparedness is important for Houston. So when people ask me how to save and rotate food and water, I'd tell them to read the free book and just ignore the LDS parts.
No way.
As former Mormons, I was hoping you could help me understand how preparedness fits into the religion. Thank you so much for your podcast, Stephanie.
Yeah, because the world's going to end.
Yeah,
Jesus is coming back. They don't preach it so much anymore.
They don't hit it very hard, but they do hit the preparedness thing really hard still. They don't tell you why.
They were preppers before it was cool.
They really were, and now they've taken it. They do some next level shit, some of these Mormons.
Oh, yeah.
Like, some of these Mormons are like, I have 10 years of food in my basement.
Yeah.
In buckets.
Yeah.
And it's all like grains that are dried and
generators and just like they're totally outfitted and they're ready. They're going to survive. Well, if they survive whatever horrible catastrophe ends the world,
right?
They're going to be fine.
It's so funny.
Get through it.
I talked to because it used to be, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is this your memory? It used to be Mormons talked constantly about a 72-hour kit. Have your 72-hour kit ready at all times. Always have it ready. Make sure you rotate it out and all of this stuff.
Sure.
And then it became like 2 weeks. It became like have 2 weeks worth of food and everything ready. And now they're talking years now.
I think you might have missed the early part of it, because the way that I always understood it was that they started with a 3-year.
Oh, wow.
You want 3 years. You have to plan for 3 years, right?
Jesus Christ.
And then that got, they brought that back down to 1 year. Now, this was all when I was very, very, very young. And maybe even like predates me a little bit. But, and then it was 1 year. And so they still talk about the 1 year, right?
Sure.
You got to have your 1 year supply, of food and necessities and whatnot. And then what they have, and they've added on to that, is you need this 72-hour kit. And this might be, the thing that's turned into 2 weeks and blah, blah, blah. That's like, this isn't about surviving the apocalypse. This is surviving the earthquake. This is surviving the hurricane, right? This isn't about the end of days.
The 72-hour kit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So
okay, wait, I just pulled it up.
Their preparedness and their desire to be sort of ready for anything, that's just part of the culture, right?
Yeah. So I just pulled this up. It says church members are encouraged to prepare a simple emergency plan. Items to consider may include 3-month supply of food that is part of your normal daily diet.
Wow.
Which, I mean, if your normal daily diet was healthy, you wouldn't be able to keep 3 months worth of it.
No.
These are people who enjoy a canned meal, folks.
Oh, yeah.
These are people who enjoy something.
Casseroles.
If it comes from a box, they're not going to turn their nose up. Drinking water, they say. Financial reserves. A longer term supply of basic food items, which is never anything that they actually eat in their real lives. It's always like, I have 25 gallons of wheat.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with wheat?
Well, they also
do you bake bread? No, I've never done that in my life.
But you can get these little hand crank wheat grinders.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
And so you can make flour. My mom had one. I don't know if she still does.
Did she ever make flour?
Because it also was electric, so you could bypass the and just put a little thing straight into the shaft and crank it if you wanted to, or there was an electric motor.
Sure.
And yeah, she would, because you had to do something with all this fucking wheat. Right?
Yeah.
And so she would grind it and she would make bread.
I think that
she would make bread with home ground flour.
Wow. Yeah, my grandma used to do that.
It wasn't great.
No, it's gross. It's gross.
And then she kept trying to come up with all these other things to do with wheat, and it was just like, no, you just grind it.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Mormons have just been hitting that for a while. I asked my father-in-law once. He was talking about that. Do you have
Are you guys prepared?
Do you have your X amount of, the 3-month supply or whatever? And I was like, David, on what planet would we need 3 months worth of food? Like, what disaster would be so bad in Salt Lake City, Utah, that we would need 3 months of food saved up? And he's like, well, you never know. And I'm like, no, I do know. Disasters happen all over the world all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody needs 3 months of food.
Right.
Eventually, somebody's going to come in a helicopter and give me some food.
Yeah.
Or I'll get out.
Yes.
Disasters don't happen to the world.
Have you not seen these hurricanes?
Well, here's the problem.
They're getting bigger,
Law of probability says there's going to be a day.
It's all prophecy.
When they all hit at once.
Yeah.
There's going to be one day where they all just hit at once.
Yeah.
Tornadoes in Oklahoma. The earthquake's going to hit here.
Yeah.
Dogs and cats living together.
The
mass hysteria.
Dan, the house always wins. That's all I'm going to say here is the house always wins.
Well, you definitely...
And Jesus is the pit boss in this comparison.
I want a bumper sticker that says Jesus is my pit boss. I want that bumper sticker. Anyway, thanks for writing in, Stephanie. I don't know what we're not talking about anything. So we'll move on to Petter from Alaska, who says, "Hi folks. I was hoping to get your thoughts on references to deities as expressive elements in language. I noticed while listening to your podcast that "oh my God" and similar expressions were used repeatedly. I ask because I've gone through some phases, including going out of my way to use vulgarity like Jesus fucker, God fuck, fucking Christ, and other such concoctions as a way, I think, of painting colorful and disrespectful mental pictures and reassuring myself and maybe others that I didn't give a shit about blasphemy and that I wasn't going to get struck by lightning or any such thing. Using expressions like "oh God" or "oh Jesus," on the other hand, come across linguistically as more like pleas or invocations, which I really didn't want to give the false impression of doing. I've recently been reflecting on my annoyance with the ubiquitous and inane Allahu Akbar of Middle East combat videos, and have tried to curtail my own references to most probably non-existent deities. As a behavioral exercise, I'm finding it difficult after years of deliberate cursing, but I'm wondering if it makes any fucking difference. My hope is for us to get problematic gods, the ones that people still think exist, completely out of our lives. I'm wondering if you think that referring to gods in casual expressions is in any way deferential. I can use words. Helpful or harmful in theistic belief maintenance. And he says, P.S. I forgot to mention all the holy cows, holy mackerel, holy catfish, and other such.
Holy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, all the holies. Here's the thing. I did struggle with this for a while. I just thought, this is not my thing. This is their thing.
Right.
And why am I using it? It doesn't make any sense.
It's part of the vernacular.
I think that's what I came to, is that bullshit, it is my thing. Yeah. It's cultural. Yeah. This isn't religious anymore. Right. Saying, "oh my God," or, you hit your thumb with a hammer and you go, "Jesus Christ." Right. That's just a cultural thing. Right. So I've given up worrying about it. Yeah. I don't think it sends any, as a matter of fact, sometimes I take it to the other extreme. When someone sneezes around me and they know me and they know that I'm an atheist or whatever, I often say, instead of saying "bless you," I say, "may the Lord bless and keep you." Just because I find that funny.
Just to go way over the top.
Yeah. Yeah. God bless you. I like God bless you. I think it's funny. I don't think it does any harm. Because it's just a swear word.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I get the desire to be so post like God and belief and religion that those words just go away. They just evaporate out of our language. Well, then what are we going to be cursing with?
Yeah,
pickles. I mean, like what? What are we going to be? You need something good.
And that is what and that's
something that has weight that's going to offend a person or two who might hear you say it.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the whole point.
That is the point of swear words. The problem is that swear words are things that each culture agrees is just a worse word than the other words. Yeah. And so we need those. Right. Those are awesome.
Why is shit worse than poop?
Right, exactly. It's just we all just made this agreement at some point. Yeah. We all just shook hands on it, and it's funny because the word swear comes from swearing to a god or to a saint or something. It used to be all religious. In French, like most of the swear words are religious, and it used to be that way in English as well. It was, "Now by Saint Anne, I'll kill you," or whatever. But we got away from that, and apparently now it's all scatological. Yeah. Except for those things, except for like Jesus Christ and "oh my God" and
the truly wonderfully, like, just wrong and offensive and yeah. I mean, yeah.
And it does have that added benefit of like really annoying Mormons. Yeah. Like extra. So that's fun.
I know. It sucks. I have to be so careful in some settings. Yeah. Anyway. All right.
But thanks for writing in on that.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great.
That's a great question.
So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about people and the way they dress. Yeah. Because here's the thing. I was just I was helping my wife launch her new company. Right. And we were in High Point, North Carolina. Okay. The furniture mecca of the United States of America, or formerly the furniture mecca. Now it's kind of not that anymore. It's kind of, it's weakening.
Oh,
curses. But I mean, a lot of people go there. A lot of people from all walks of life go there, and I started to see like Orthodox Jews in their regalia, and I saw some
regalia. Really?
They have
Orthodox Jews?
Yes.
You would call that regalia?
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Cool. All right.
Clothing in their various and sundry clothings.
Okay.
And and sick people in their turbans and whatnot.
Oh, not ill.
Not ill people. Sikh. I like to say Sikh, but but the proper pronunciation apparently is closer to sick.
It's somewhere between the two.
Somewhere in the middle.
Ugh.
I'll say Sikh.
Vowel sounds we don't have in this language.
I know. It's rude. It's rude of them not to use our vowels. So I saw some Sikh people, and I saw some Muslim people, and and it just got me thinking about religions and their. And I saw some Mennonites.
Oh yeah. So just garb, just
garb,
stuff they wear.
People wearing stuff because of their religion, religiously like mandated clothing,
which is weird because it just started out that's just what people mostly wore.
Yeah,
and because I love you brought up the example of like the Mennonites.
Yeah,
right. Plain people, right?
Yeah,
so they wear plain clothes,
right?
For plain people, and the whole point about being plain is that you don't stick out.
Mm-hmm.
And so compared to what people in Northern Europe were wearing back when they fled Europe. Right. They were wearing plain clothes.
Yeah.
Right. But now.
Not to stand out.
Now they stand out.
Now, boy.
It's not ostentatious. It's not standing out in some sort of in that sort of way.
But they definitely get looks.
Yeah. All they do is stand out.
Yeah.
And reserving buttons for workwear and that stuff because buttons can be, too ornate.
No, that's the Amish.
The Amish,
thing.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Now, Amish do use buttons. They will not use zippers.
Oh.
Zippers are fancy.
Dear God.
So no zippers.
Dear God.
So, let's get to it a little bit. Because it is interesting. Now, the Mennonites and Amish frequently get confused for each other.
Yeah.
They are not the same, though they come from the sort of same heritage of religious.
Well, they're all Anabaptists.
Right.
So
the Amish dress code is basically and it's the same with the Mennonites. It's to prevent vanity and boastfulness.
Mm-hmm.
But the Amish are the ones. The men tend to have always beards.
Yeah, and you know why they don't have mustaches?
No.
Because it's the military officers in Europe would have mustaches.
Oh,
and they want nothing to do with anything militaristic.
Oh,
and so they. But again, it's all references to weird old stuff.
Right.
If they're a time capsule more than anything.
That's really what they are. And the Amish do it really well because they're the ones who won't use electricity, and so they got the horse buggies and whatnot. Their clothes are constructed of plain, durable fabric in solid colors.
Oh yeah.
None
no
of this,
patterns.
No patterns. Yeah.
No patterns.
You get a stripe or a plaid on there. Forget about it.
You're no longer plain.
What are you a crazed? Are you a lunatic? It's nuts. Men's shirts and women's dresses often in attractive shades of purple.
That's not very plain.
But they also
I don't think of
they'll
purple
do blues, greens, browns, blacks. You know, whatever happens to be not in fashion this season.
They specifically pull up Pantone's colors, the color of the year from 1970.
They've got that's the one. They've got the one person in the village who takes Vogue to make sure that they know what not to wear.
Okay.
Yeah, they do believe that the buttons are too decorative and gaudy. But
Look at these buttons, Dan, on my shirt.
Oh my God. Show off. You're a damn show off.
My buttons on my plaid shirt.
Oh my goodness.
What am I showing off?
I don't know.
It's a nice shirt. It's an old shirt.
Belts are not to have buckles for these people.
Oh, I'm breaking all the rules.
You are. You're such a Rumspringer, you. Women and girls, long dresses, never shorter than calf length. God, you show a knee? What are you, some kind of slut?
I saw that movie with Harrison Ford.
Oh, dear.
She's bathing herself so seductively.
I didn't see that.
You never saw Witness?
No.
It's a good little movie.
Was it? Wait, was what's her name?
I don't remember the actress.
Oh, I don't know who was in that. Anyway. Yeah, Amish girls and women never cut their hair.
Never?
No, they pull it into a braid or a bun worn on the back of their head where it is covered by the prayer cap.
And just hope it breaks off. So you don't condition, so it stays brittle.
I think if you undo the braid, like half of it just falls to the ground. It's not attached anymore to the head. You'll see Mennonite women also in the prayer caps, and that's, I think, part of what gets them confused. And they also have the long, ugly dresses and stuff.
Yeah. Well, how do the German Baptists fit into this whole thing?
I don't know, man.
I grew up when there were a lot of German Baptists.
And what do they dress like?
Well, they have the little thing over the bun, and they wear ugly dresses.
Uh-huh.
And the men just they kind of dress more in like jeans and just kind of basic shirts.
Yeah.
It's all very simple and basic. Are they just like city Mennonites?
Yeah. I mean, apparently the Mennonites are actually getting more and more. They dress more like the quote English, which is what they call all of us.
Right.
So they can't go too crazy with it, but every now and then the Mennonites might wear just something that looks
something from the dress barn instead
right. Yeah.
Instead of something they made.
Instead of something
for a little night out.
Right. Exactly. If they're gonna get real crazy,
go to TJ Maxx and pick something nice out.
Meanwhile, they got you do have Jews, and I did want to talk.
Wait.
I'm just switching.
That's a transition
because we're gonna go through a bunch of different religions and their things.
Oh, it's not. You're right. Okay. We kind of got in deep there.
Yeah, we went a little deep. I'm gonna glance off a few other things.
Okay.
But I wanted
careful with the Jew stuff.
Why?
We always get it completely wrong. So I'm just saying.
Rabbi Gruber will straighten us out. It's fine.
All right.
But this is, all I'm doing is just literally just talking about what they're wearing.
Oh, okay.
So, you've got the obvious thing is the kippah or yarmulke.
Right.
That's just a little hat.
Yeah.
It's a cute little hat.
Yeah.
That they wear, that the men wear.
Uh-huh.
A little skull cap thing. The talit, which is the prayer shawl that a lot of that's worn while reciting morning prayers.
Okay.
As well as in the synagogue. There's the and then there's you can sometimes see I'm not gonna say this right.
Here comes the email.
Yeah, exactly. The tzitzit.
Okay.
Which is attached to the prayer shawl, but often worn. That shawl's often worn under the clothes, but the tzitzit is the little tassels that dangle down.
Okay. Yeah.
That you can see on some Jewish men.
Okay.
And then there's also the tefillin. That's the box that they wear on their foreheads when they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is less fun than the Mennonites, strangely.
Because you made it all weird. You went all weird about it. Like, apparently it's totally cool to just make fun of the Mennonites and the Amish, but we get to the Jews and you're like, no, we gotta be all deferential to them.
I didn't say deferential. I said
being
careful.
deferential.
I said careful.
I'm not gonna be careful. You're ruining
just
this.
Right.
You're ruining everything.
Just
Franklin.
Right, Dan. That's all I'm asking. I'm all on edge when it comes to the Jewish stuff.
Apparently you are. Anyway, some Jewish women wear a head covering. That's also a thing.
Yeah.
That you can see. A kittel is a white knee-length cotton robe worn by Jewish prayer leaders and some Orthodox Jews.
Okay.
On the high holidays.
Wow. Okay.
What else should we talk about? We could talk about the Sikhs.
I see the Sikhs. They've got some interesting stuff going on.
They do.
They've got their little knife.
Yeah.
You know, they don't cut their hair. They keep it all wrapped up.
Yeah, the men wear the turbans.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
They have the 5 articles of faith.
Yeah.
They got a loose undergarment.
Wait, what is that? What is a loose undergarment?
I'm not really sure. It's called the
Boxers?
Shahara.
So they prefer boxers over briefs.
They're not brief guys. And they definitely steer clear of the bikini briefs. That's not a thing.
Yeah,
for them.
no.
They've got a wooden comb that they keep with them.
Okay.
They got an iron bangle, which I think is around the wrist.
A bangle, really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I
love that.
Their hair is not to be ever cut.
Yeah.
And they have the ceremonial sword, which is called the kirpan.
Yeah. And the whole idea of that is that they're supposed to be ready to defend themselves and defend others. It's defending others, right?
I don't know.
Sikhs, I have this strange respect for the Sikhs.
Yeah.
Because there's something admirable in a lot of their practice. You know, like their great big temple, the Golden Temple or whatever it's called, where they, you know, serve meals. Everybody goes in and they prepare food and they wash. Everybody participates.
Yeah.
You know, in preparing these free meals to anyone who comes in. Yeah. You know, and they do like 2 or 3 meals a day. A friend of mine went to the Parliament of World Religions thing,
okay,
and there were like free meals that were included, right, in the whole thing. And he said that he kind of caught a glimpse of here at this like convention center, there were Sikhs back in the kitchen who were volunteering to help out.
Okay, great.
Isn't that fascinating?
That's great.
I don't know. They have this like this really true sense of like charity and trying to help, you know, and they do a lot through just feeding people. I think it's kind of cool. But anyway,
there you go. I'm going to go back to the Jews. You got me all rattled on the Jew thing, but there was something I didn't get everything out that I wanted to. I wanted to talk about the Orthodox men also wearing like long black coats, wearing a lot of black.
Okay, why do they do that?
Apparently that it indicates a lack of concern for color and other dictates of fashion.
Isn't it a concern for black at a certain point?
Well, at one point...
Isn't that what it turns into?
It does seem like
start creating these rules.
It's supposed to say that they're supposed to be saying that I don't do fashion, but that becomes its own fashion statement.
Yeah,
it's a very it all just seems Well, and I'm going to get to that. I think that part of this discussion is that all of these religions, they're not just saying, "Oh, we don't do fashion. We're very plain. We don't." They are saying, I have a tribe. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they're making it visible, and there's something real about that. There's something to that where it's like, you know, I don't know if it's a pride thing, but human beings in general, and I think that there's an evolutionary argument to be made that human beings, tribalism has been important since the dawn of our species.
Right.
Where, you know, knowing which group you belonged to was a matter of life and death early on. Yeah. And we're sort of hardwired for it.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something about, you know, wearing what we wear, what my tribe wears.
Well, I'll tell you, taking off the Mormon undergarment, the temple garment. Right. It was a major step in my leaving Mormonism.
Yeah.
And it was a huge, like, it felt so weird to be doing it. It felt so kind of, I knew that it was the right thing to do, and yet it still felt strangely wrong. And it felt very final as well.
Yeah.
And that was something that was underneath my clothes.
It wasn't even something that showed.
I can't even imagine what it would be like to have always dressed in black in a, or whatever. Right. And to take that step to put on a pair of jeans.
Sure.
And some shirt that you actually like.
Yeah.
And then march out into the world. I can't imagine. No. So that ability of your clothes to claim you for that religion and for that community and group, boy, it's really powerful.
It is.
And I don't know.
And I get the sense
that I'd ever thought of it in conjunction with other faith traditions.
Right.
Yeah. Because it was just my underwear.
Well, yeah, I mean, imagine, and that's something where, like, a Mormon who has taken off their garments can still show up at a family affair, and nobody will necessarily know.
They're always looking at your leg for that line.
Well, you can wear the long pant. You could find a way to make it not obvious.
Yeah, but even like boxer briefs, the line's too high. Your garments would have to have like ridden up really high.
Yeah,
for that to fool anyone, right? Like, because the line is right here. It's like it's inches above your knee.
I know, yeah.
And they're very long. And they look for it. That's the thing. Mormons habitually look for that line on men's legs.
And isn't that interesting? So Mormons have this sort of undercover tribal indicator. And there's also, like, the old Mormon garments, the ones that our parents had when we were growing up. The men had what we call the eternal smile,
right?
Which is a deep sort of scoop neck that was plainly visible under their cheap white shirts that Mormon men always wore,
right?
So you could see this very sort of it was
very
just
iconic,
very iconic.
There's not any other T-shirt out there on the market that's going to mimic that scoop
that men wear. Yeah. Absolutely not. So there are these indicators. There are these moments. Now imagine take your experience of taking off the temple garment, and multiply that by a broad brimmed hat that you've worn every day.
Yeah.
The earlocks. The what did they call that? I know I
we understand
pulled up
what you mean, but
the
cutting those off.
Ooh. I mean, show up to an Orthodox family, or if you're Sikh,
you're going into a barber and saying, "I like it short on the side," and
right,
take a few feet off the top.
Right, exactly. It's true.
I'll take a 3 on the side and 4 feet off the top.
It's just crazy. Like just that thought is probably enough to keep a lot of people in the religion, even if they have stopped believing. Like the thought of divesting themselves of the outward trappings of their religion could be enough to keep them from ever doing it.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I'm guessing that some people who leave their religions hang on to a few of those vestiges for a good while.
Well, I had already not believed in God for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, for a good while.
Yeah.
Like, I took my garments off after I moved to Salt Lake.
So
I'd already told people, like, my friends down at, like, BYU, this had to be, like, 98, probably. Sometime in 98, mid-98, maybe kind of later on, that I didn't believe in God.
Wow.
I kept the garments on. Until 2000.
Holy shit.
That's that kind of control. I didn't have a drink of alcohol until 2000, 2001.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. And completely didn't believe it.
This is what we're talking about. Like it's easy to just sort of dismiss these things as like weird clothes that people wear or whatever, I think there's a lot more to it. I think there's a deeper thing. I mean, we haven't even touched on Muslims and the hijab and the all the burqa, like the various things.
Yeah.
And Muslim wear is much more about what women wear than it is about what men wear, and that becomes sort of another conversation altogether.
Yeah. Well, those are the extra special ways that Islam is fucked up.
Right. I mean,
their relationship to women.
Yeah, they're cute about the women.
Yeah.
They're fun. But I mean, I think that I think that that's like when you get to that point that you have outwardly declared something for so long. I would love to talk to Rabbi Gruber about those moments, the moments of like getting rid of the outward stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's tricky stuff.
It is.
Anyway, hey kids, tell us about your experience. Yeah. I'm guessing that we've got some people out there who had to change their look after they left a religion.
Yeah.
And I would love to hear your story.
You couldn't dress quite so waspy anymore.
Right, exactly. I gave away half my Izod shirts after I left the church. I just couldn't do it anymore. I did keep the khakis, though. I think they're very nice. Anyway, if you've had that experience, please write to us. The way to do that would be to go to the interwebs, find your emailer of choice, and write in podcast at thankgodimatheist.com.
Or if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call 424-666-8442. And
we'd like to hear your voice.
We love to hear from you guys.
It's great. Go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/TGIAtheist, and like us.
Yeah.
Like us there.
You must like us.
Like and share.
Yes.
Like and share, people.
And then if you'd like to join our closed group, you can just search for the TGIA Members Only Lounge and request to join.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to thank Mackenzie. That girl, she puts in the work doing that Facebook page. So thank you so much for everything you do, Mackenzie.
And thanks to the Red Rock Hot Club for letting us year after year use their music.
I think they've forgotten we're doing it at this point. But it's a privilege and a pleasure to hear that music every week. And thank you, our dear listener, for your time and attention. We sure do appreciate you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.